It's a cinematic engagement, epic outlasting the ages. An exhibition of the big picture through narrative phrases. You see, I'm traveling through Sun Tzu's battling stages. Defeat this animal inside that keeps them rattling cages. Time to grapple for freedom, fight bureaucratic enslavement. But when I do it, I'm a shit on democratic behavior. I recall that they created this with plastic and paper, but I haven't heard good music since I last had a pager. Yeah, I guess
almost a no-hitter Monday. There is Jeff Fassero, and Joe, something maybe he's blossoming into one of the best left-handers in the National League.
Well, he's pitched very, very well. Look at the numbers. The hits to innings pitch ratio is really good. Base on balls to strikeout, very good. He's showing that he is one of the top left-handers going right now.
So here we go. Fassero throws pretty hard, but keeps the ball down. Generally has pretty good control. Here is Billy Hatcher. A 91-mile-an-hour fastball is in there for strike one.
2:36 on TSN 690. It's Off the Cuff. I'm Matthew Ross, subbing in for Chris Nyland. We'll take you up until 3 o'clock. Melnick in the afternoon coming up. Simon Salikas subbing in for Mitch. And the Irish Embassy Habs pregame show will happen around 5 o'clock within Melnick in the afternoon. Then it's Canadians taking on the Lightning live in Tampa Bay a little later on tonight. We are very pleased to now be joined by former pitcher for the Montreal Expos. He was actually in Montreal a few days ago, enjoying the slightly less cold weather. Live from a warmer place today, it's Jeff Fassero. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for joining us.
Yesterday I was bundled up and freezing, and today I'm sitting outside in the sun.
Well, good for you. Good on you. That was a clip we just played coming in. I'm not sure if you heard it, but that was from Sunday Night Baseball, a game at the Olympic Stadium, 1994, Expos versus the Phillies, and it came just after the near no-hitter by you that was broken up by Kareem Garcia. We'll talk about that a little later on, but when you hear that clip, what went through your mind?
Well, it's nice to know that you got those guys that respect you and pump you up. The thing about, we had a lot of good players up there in Montreal. And, since we were in Montreal, we didn't get all the publicity down in the States like we did up there. So it's nice when you're on national TV that they let everybody know what you guys are about.
So you were just in Montreal. What made you venture up here?
Well, when I got traded in '96, I had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. And they decided this summer that they wanted to go to a city that I played in that they don't remember. So they were the ones that picked Montreal.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
What did you guys end up doing here?
Well, we walked around. I took them out to the stadium. We couldn't get in, couldn't find any security guards to let us in or anything. But we walked around out there a little bit, walked around St. Catherine Street a lot, but mostly just ate and drank because it was so cold. You just run from one building. For us, we just run from one building to the next.
Jeff,
we took them to a couple of our favorites that we had back when I played there, Da Vinci's and Gibby's.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you remember that 94 team, famous team, obviously, that for many reasons, most notably for some of the players that went on to such great heights. 2014, most of the 94 team was in for an incredible celebration on the field in front of 50,000 fans. You were certainly not here for that. Was it a work situation or what?
Yeah, I started coaching again in '09, and what was that, 14? That was my first year back with the Reds, and first year with the Reds, and wasn't so sure about how their organization works, so I didn't really want to ask for the time off at that point. But now that I've been there for 4 years, and I understand what's going on, as the opportunity comes again, I will be asking for those times off.
You mentioned that you were aware of the games here. What does it mean to you, or what's your take when you hear that annually the last 4 years there's been over 90,000, 1 year over 100,000 for a couple of preseason games here?
I think it's saying that they would love to have baseball back in Montreal. And I think I played there for 6 years, and I loved playing there for the 6 years. And I think with some of the teams struggling now or whatever, even if there's expansion in baseball, that I think Montreal deserves another chance with the baseball team.
In terms of the 94 team, we've heard, there's been documentaries on it. We've heard some of the players here in town a few years ago. What was your impression of playing on that team? Was it the best team you've ever been a part of? What was the mood when you went to the ballpark during that season?
Yeah, it's probably all-around best ball team, from starting pitching to bullpen to what we had on the field. I couldn't come up with a team that could compare to that team that I played on the rest of my career. We went to the ballpark every day knowing we were going to win. Once we got on that roll in the early part of May and just kept on going through the strike, I mean, we went to the ballpark. It didn't matter what lineup Felipe put out there. We knew we were going to win that game that day. Are you still in touch with some of the players from that team? Any friends? Sean Barry, mainly. He and I are pretty close friends still. I see a few guys here and there and talk to them, but not like nobody that's, we go and meet anywhere other than Sean Barry. In terms of that 94 season, it was special for you. One particular start where you were, that close to a no-hitter. What was that like? Do you still think about the hit that got away from you? I don't think about it so much anymore, unless it gets brought up to me by certain guys like Jay Bell. I see him around town. But no, I've kind of, it gets brought up once in a while, but I try not to think about it anymore. It's like one of those what ifs or could have happened type things. So
chatting with
kind of got past it.
Chatting with Jeff Fassero, former pitcher from the Montreal Expos and several other organizations in Major League Baseball, the 96 season kind of goes under the radar in terms of the history of the Expos, just because it wasn't a postseason year, but it was very, very close. A couple of games out of the wild card spot to San Diego, and I famously remember as a teenager watching on television, seeing David Segui kind of tearing up in the dugout, knowing that you guys had been eliminated. That arguably was your best season, if not one of. How good was that team?
I mean, for what we had lost in the last 2 years, the team, I think we molded together very well, and we had I think it was a good team. The thing about it is I know that they went through a hard time there, from basically 94 to about 98, really, where certain guys had to be let go because of salaries and stuff like that. But it always seemed that, like, playing in Montreal, every year I played there, that our team always meshed well together. I don't know if it was because we're Americans and Dominicans playing in Canada or what it was, but, it seemed like we always meshed. I think if you look, other than my first year, 91, when we were really bad, 92, we started to turn it around. 93, we improved more than you look at what we had in 94. And then, we competed in 95 and 96 after losing. Would we lose after 94? Walker, Grissom, and Kenny Hill?
Yeah, Ken Hill, John Wetland as well.
And Wetland. I mean, we competed the next 2 years. We kept losing guys, a couple key guys here and there. So, but it always seemed that we could always get together and mesh very well together as a team.
What was it like playing for Felipe Alou? We hear such great things and never a disparaging word from players.
He was easy to play for, and that's kind of why I ended my career up in San Francisco, because he was managing there, and I told my agents I'd like to go back and just play for Felipe if I can get a contract back in San Francisco. Because he was easy to play for, He just let the clubhouse take care of itself. He let us be ourselves. He would get on you when he needed to, but I thought he was very easy to play for.
Favorite memory on the field for you as an Expo?
Well, let's see. Favorite memory?
Yeah.
There's a couple of them. My first year there, you don't really think about it. It's because the team wasn't very good, but the opportunity to watch Dennis Martinez throw his perfect game in L.A.
Sure.
was really good. For me, it was probably, everybody talks about the almost no-hitter. It was probably the game in Philadelphia. For me, it was a couple days after my daughter was born, where I threw a 2-hit shutout. That game, I probably pitched better than I did the no-hit bid game, so. And then I had my favorite moment in Seattle when we actually clinched our the first playoff opportunity I ever had. Those are big things that really stand out to me.
Just wrapping up with Jeff Fassero, former Montreal Expos pitcher and longtime major leaguer. Where are you? Are you still working for the Reds? What organization are you working for now?
Yes, I'm still with the Reds. AAA, Louisville, pitching coach there.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. How are you liking the organization? Went through a bit of I guess at the major league level, a bit of a rough patch this year, moving out some players towards the end. But
yeah, they're kind of trying to do what we did in Montreal in the 90s. We've got a pretty good nucleus of the younger guys, but some of them just aren't ready to be there and compete there yet. But they're not too far off. I think it could be exciting in the next couple of years if all these guys pan out and can handle playing in the big leagues, because the nucleus, I think, is there, but they're kind of like what we had to put up with in Montreal. Unfortunately, it's kind of a smaller market. They don't have the funds to keep the big time guys like the Yankees and teams like that do, Red Sox. So, but I enjoy it. It's fun. Baseball's been my life. I love working in baseball.
Jeff, before we let you go, I got to ask you a very quick anecdote. I was at one of the events with the '94 team when they were in Montreal in 2014, and Larry Walker and Marquise Grissom let the audience know of a kind of a secret game of chicken they used to play in the outfield. And I'm wondering if you, as a pitcher, knew it. They basically said that they would stare at each other as long as they possibly could before one of them flinched and looked into the mound or up in the sky to catch a pop fly. Were you aware of that?
No, it didn't matter. They caught whatever went in the air, whoever did what, whenever they did it. That was by far probably the best outfield that I had behind me with Grissom, Walker, and Alou. I mean, any ball that went in the air was pretty much caught. Doubles were turned into singles, things like that. As long as you kept the ball in the park, you always had a chance for them to run the ball down.
Well, Jeff, we really appreciate your time. So good to hear your voice. I'm sure a lot of Montrealers right now are thinking back to your high leg kick and some of the great moments you provided the fans here. Thank you so much for your time, and we really, really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks so much. That's Jeff Fassero now with the AAA team for Cincinnati out in Louisville. And as we head to break here is a song dedicated to the 1994 Expos. It's by local hip-hop artist Anakin Slade. It's called 94 Fall. Enjoy. It's off the cuff. We'll be back.
Wishes as a boy to watch fathers and sons sharing the ultimate joy. Maybe we'd have never watched our heroes fade away, and now we'd be with our kids on opening day. We could have had it all. We could have seen October Ball. We could have hung a banner on the right field wall. Maybe we'd have seen those Allure stand tall if 94 summer turned to fall. We could have